Imagine this. It's 2030, and the way you shop for cars and other big-ticket items, as well as everyday consumer goods, is not only frictionless and deeply tailored to your needs and preferences, but the product advice you get is not sponsored, biased, or boosted. Andre, how did we evolve to this superior shopping experience?
At this stage, AI will reinvent how we shop, think about products, interact with knowledge about products. I'm so excited because for decades, things haven't changed that much. And now AI is there to really disrupt it. I couldn't wait for that.
That's Andre Levine, BCG Managing Director and Partner. And I'm Patricia Sobka. Welcome to Imagine This, where we take a trip into the future we hope will challenge the way you think and act today. Consumers who are early adopters of AI are already bypassing traditional search engines that have become inundated with sponsored and boosted content. Instead, they're using ChatGPT and other LLMs as personal shopping assistants. After all, AI can quickly comb the vast expanses of the web to research products, synthesize and distill product reviews, and serve up a list of brand-agnostic recommendations that genuinely reflect an individual's needs and tastes. So it's not a big leap to imagine that in 5 years, LLMs will have transformed how people shop for one of life's biggest purchases, cars. An experience that today involves navigating a labyrinth of websites, special incentives, dealerships, financing options, and of course, inevitable trade-offs. This shift will not only impact consumers, but businesses as well, creating both challenges and opportunities CEOs need to consider now. Today, we'll explore how LLMs will change how consumers shop for cars and other goods, and how businesses can position themselves now to make the most of this emerging AI-enabled consumer journey. Also joining us with the machine perspective today is our own AI co-host, Jean. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Jean.
Hello, I'm Jean, your generative engine for unexpected questions. I'm here to poke at assumptions, surface what's missing, and hopefully make you rethink what's possible.
So, Andre, in previous episodes, we've talked about how AI will help tailor a trip to the grocery store and the pharmacy by serving up highly personalized product recommendations. But we haven't yet delved into AI and big ticket items, like buying a car. So let's start with early adopters and how they're using LLMs already to shop for cars and trucks. What are they doing now, and how do you see this evolving over the next 5 years?
Buying a car, you can imagine, you mentioned some of the challenges around that, is not becoming easier. It is becoming more difficult. What I at the moment see is there's a disruption coming, which is a bit black and white, creating a new customer experience. Because at this stage, if you want to buy a car and you're open to all brands, there's no one you can ask today for a neutral opinion. There's just no dealer serving all brands. And if you are in Asia, for example, at this stage, we have launched 35 new brands in the last 3 years. There's just no one who knows everything about those. At the moment, LLMs might be the only one you can ask for at least getting an overview of what's happening, a bit of a neutral answer to your question. So I think there's just the start of a very, very different customer experience, which I'm really looking forward, because I feel with so many customers, it is a pain.
Okay, so as you said, we're at the start of this. So when you think about chatbots today, they can only be as specific as the information and data it can access. So what should automakers be doing now to ensure that their information ultimately reaches consumers using LLMs to research and buy a car?
At this stage, if you go to traditional LLMs, you will get a directionally interesting kind of radar where to look for and what are the options. But you can't really get deep. You can't configure your car because the LLMs are not having APIs to configuration systems of OEMs. You cannot really quote a price despite list price because they are not linked into the offline world where all the price negotiations happening. So at this stage, it's early. And what OEMs need to do today is just get visible in LLMs. At the moment, LLMs are kind of trained on various sets of data, and you might or might not be present there. And certainly it will be just by chance you are, because very likely you have a traditional media mix model where you've invested in TV and Google Ads and all the traditional channels. But are you set up to be visible to LLMs, which I think become the most important channel for you to be visible at? I don't think so. And we are seeing a lot of OEMs catching up this game.
So in that vein, Gene has a question. Go ahead and ask your question, Gene.
So, if automakers don't proactively feed accurate data to these LLMs, who ends up controlling the narrative? AI companies, third-party reviewers, or the loudest voices online? How do you avoid your brand getting lost or misrepresented in that machine-driven mix?
Absolutely. At this stage in the old world, you have used money and being loud, and the more you have invested, the more you've created. However, if you in the new world want to influence this, there's a lot of questions to be raised. Like, what are the training data actually LLMs are based on, and how do I influence that? Knowing that a lot of OEMs are super interested in user-generated versus purchase type of presentation of your own, how do I get more visible in user-generated content? We have seen platforms like Reddit scoring quite high on LLM's visibility. So like there's a model mix to be influenced. Which I like, Gene, a lot about your question is the strength of brands. Because what is super interesting, if you ask the model at the moment, or any of those models, what is the best car to buy? It obviously will follow up a few questions about how do you define best, what is relevant to you. But certainly, deterministic models are, in their heart, they are more factual than emotional. They are a bit less valuing brands. So if a car from a low-tier brand, a cheaper brand versus a premium brand like Mercedes-Benz or BMW is offering the same features, the same space, and also positive customer reviews online, it will kind of equalize those cars and maybe even giving the lower price benefit and more recommend you the lower price car. So there's little valuation because they're emotional for brands, for example, or design choices. So I fear most for probably the strongest brand and the premium brands more than the value for money type of brands. Because I think, and what we see totally is like models are more deterministic, more emphasizing on factual benefits of a car and customer reviews. They might less kind of see or feel brand strength, emotions, and design choices in a car. So asking like, if I compare those two cars, they will see two cars and the cheaper one might be more interesting and more recommended by the machine. So I would be more worried if I'm a premium brand, luxury brand, which is coming a lot with the ecosystem and the experience around my car and the brand experience, which might be undervalued in an LLM.
So it sounds like you're issuing like a really stark warning that these decades and decades that you've spent building up your brand, especially your luxury brand, you have to adapt quickly to getting the information out there and to figure out how to differentiate. Now, this begs the question for companies that aren't as quick on the uptake, that don't spot this trend and they don't start positioning themselves to take advantage of it. If they lag behind, can they leapfrog to catch up?
So in the heart of brands is trust. You buy a good brand because you trust it, and you have to trust because you are not able to understand all the options out there. So you trust the brand you know. But if there's now a system out there which you can trust and is having the overview, certainly the relevance of brand is decreasing. So it's a challenge for those brand holders. So unfortunately, also those big brand holders, so those with legacy, they are also known as the slowest to move the market. We are seeing the low value brands, the new electric vehicle, are those who are transforming fast into this new ecosystem. So there's double challenge. Both you carry the legacy of your brand, which is an asset, you think, but then you also have the legacy of your company, which is maybe a challenge to transform yourself in the speed you need to go to market. So if I'm the CEO of a legacy premium brand company, I would be very, very on my toes at the moment to understand how to react and better react fast.
So Gene has another question. Go ahead, Gene.
So if the algorithm starts equalizing brands, what happens to customer loyalty? Is there any way a premium brand keeps its magic when the machine strips the badge away? Just data. price features on a spreadsheet. How do you stop every car from feeling interchangeable?
This is what I think a chat with an LLM at the moment will kind of teach you. They are interchangeable. It will bring it down to the functionality. Loyalty, and some of the premium brands have a loyalty of 60-70%. So some of the BMW brands or Mercedes brands, 60-70% of their customers have been having a BMW, Mercedes, or Porsche before. So they are built on the concept of loyalty. You buying the next model, next car, because you trust the car, you trust the brand. If you now engage into a chat where you ask your question, and certainly your funnel of options is widening and you get new ideas, etc., this might be totally beneficial for consumers because they are getting new ideas and having maybe wider option space, which they still can navigate in. But if you are the holder of those loyalty brands, you don't want this to happen. You want your people, your customers to stay with your funnel, being engaging in the next product you want to offer. So there's certainly an interesting dimension, and I expect loyalty by the information transparency to go down.
Let's circle back to electric cars for a second, which you said are adapting to these changes much more quickly. Electric cars are more popular in some parts of the world than others. So are there regional differences that add greater urgency to certain markets that auto manufacturers really need to get across?
It's probably just a coincidence that we are talking about those electric cars, mainly connected to the new electric car companies in the background who have been able to enter the market much easier than it was on the combustion engine market, where the network and supply chain had to be in place to operate and build a great car. So the entry barrier to the market has decreased. It made very innovative companies from entertainment industry, from all kinds of industries, being able to enter the market. And they are coming with a new speed of innovation, with a new understanding of consumer. And this kind of muscle of being close to the market, not coming per se from the asset, but much more being consumer driven, this is which defines the new speed at the moment. In terms of geography, obviously you see a very, very interesting competition and reimagination of the whole customer journey in China. A lot of those car companies started in China. Their first kind of logic of what they want to do and differentiate themselves is the customer journey, the experience, and then the car is a tool to get there. The experience in around the car and the ecosystem, the community built is becoming front and center for some of those. So I think just the idea of a more customer and more experience integrated car experience is something which is driving those companies much over those companies who have built by engineering, built by R&D, built by the perfectionism of building a car and being perfect in all the technology it is in the car. It's just a different mindset everybody has to adopt to. And these two words are colliding a bit in the moment.
Now, we talk about, the LLMs, they're crawling the web, they're scooping up information from everywhere and serving up brand agnostic recommendations. But what if internet standards emerge that define traditional search engines and generative AI answers differently, or even block AI bot crawlers from combing certain sites for information?
I think at the moment, we see consumers raising the bar and getting exposed to a new world, which I think they will get used to pretty fast. So the moment you have your first really good conversation with a very educated AI salesman and you understand the benefits of that, you can talk to it 24/7, you can talk to it in natural language, you can ask awkward questions of all kinds without being judged at all. You can ask stupid questions as you want. Nobody will laugh at you. People will soon get disappointed going into some of their offline experiences because they're not getting that. So I think we are raising the bar at the moment, and I think we are getting pretty fast used to that. So at this point, I think there's even no way to go back to the old world.
So, Gene, this one's for you. Cars are already equipped with all kinds of sensors that capture information about drivers. Could that information be used to help LLMs serve up car recommendations? And if so, how?
Wild to think about, right? If cars share data from their sensors, stuff like driving style, route patterns, even how smooth you brake, LLMs could build a kind of driver DNA. Picture this. You say you want a sporty car, but the data says you mostly drive like a careful librarian. I could nudge you toward what actually fits your real habits, not just your wish list. The line gets fuzzy, though. Privacy jumps in quick. Who owns that sensor data? How is it shared or protected? One more thing. If some brands tap into this and others don't, recommendations could get skewed. So yeah, chatbots could use it for hyper-personal advice, but it opens a new can of ethical worms. Depends who's behind the wheel of your data.
Pretty good answer, Gene. Because it is not like kind of a fantasy. Like if you allow the OEM to use your data, and I, for example, certainly would, because they could do really, really cool stuff of that to really benefit your next car purchase. So the amount of sensors in the car is obviously going beyond what people usually would expect. Obviously, the GPS tells you where you were driving, what your driving patterns. The engine kind of RPM would tell you how fast you're driving and how smooth you're driving. That's cool. But think of, I know exactly which buttons you're pushing in a car. I would know, like, Patricia, if you are listening to the Backstreet Boys in 8 of 10 drives with loud music, I would know that you are up for a good sound system in your next car. I would know how often your child seat activator pops on. I would know from the tire pressure monitoring system how heavily you're loading your car and if the trunk size is fitting your needs. From the temperature sensor, I would know how often you go on a skiing resort, something like that. So, like, I think the pure sensor data of your car is the best CRM you could imagine. And I know about the ethical risk of this data being abused and sold on, etc. But if this is kind of contained and in a fair and transparent, ethical environment, only used to give you an advice for your next purchase, an LLM could process this in real time, and the conversation you could have with an AI salesman, this would be hyper-personalized segment of one type of discussion where you could kind of get to what you really need, which again, if we take consumers being the most relevant guys here, and then this is where we want to go.
So let's move further along the car buying journey. So, I've used the LLM. It has identified the perfect car for me based on the Backstreet Boys and how hard I brake and how fast I drive. There's still the very massive and stressful step of negotiating the best price, which is always a bit contentious, and finding the best financing options available. So how can AI help take some of the pain out of that phase of the car buying journey?
So we have studied the pain of this purchase experience for quite a bit, and it is so evident how painful this is, especially as many individuals are not trained anymore at all to negotiate price. We go into an Apple store, we buy an iPhone, the price is the price. It's so not true for cars. You can buy the same car for like 5,000 different prices at any moment of time. So super painful. Where I see LLM could offer me a tremendously strong service is to help and understand this whole complexity of price finding. Research me the best price across all comparison websites, understand what I need to do in terms of financial offers, insurance packages, help me to understand what is the price range I would be going for so I'm not getting ripped off. So a lot of consumers feel good with a 5% discounts because just so they know that there's a 15% average discount for the same model. So I want the AI to navigate me into a corridor. I know this is a fair price and I will feel comfortable about that. We recently did a study. We realized how many people are, after they have purchased their car, still research the price for their car because they are knowing they got ripped off and they want to confirm themselves that the price they paid is not awkwardly off. So there's such an inconfidence about buying a car and then very, very uncomfortable situation we have forced our customers in. So taking this off, bring this into an AI world, bring it down you to a price, and then you take this price and go to your dealer if you have to, if you can't buy online. And then you say, this is the price I know is a fair one. Look at this evidence. Look at this logic. I think this would create for many, many consumers a strong understanding of what is fair.
So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll explore how LLMs can help consumers make more informed everyday purchases, from toothpaste to potato chips. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Bill Moore. I'm part of the team that created Gene. Stick around after the episode where Gene and I will demonstrate a product launch campaign optimized for large language models.
Welcome back to Imagine This. I'm Patricia Sapka. Let's return to our conversation with BCG's Andre Levine. So, Andre, we promised our listeners before the break that we're going to talk about how LLMs could influence how we shop, not only for cars, but small everyday items. So, what do you see as some of the advantages of AI-generated recommendation for things like the right toothpaste or the healthiest but tastiest potato chip?
Think of any of those products, shampoo, toothpaste, chips. How do you today ask what is the best? You might end up seeing a lot of AI generated fake test results, or you might see the opinion of someone who has an opinion but might not be representative or not fit to you. You don't only look for a shampoo, but for a shampoo for black curly hair. Yeah. The new world of AI is not only opening a world of you kind of getting to this knowledge super fast, it is allowing you to interact and ask follow-up questions. It allows you to ask those questions, think of healthcare products or other things in a really kind of deep academic way. The second new advantage is not just asking those deep questions. You ask him in a very natural language. You're not forced to go on a website and filter the size of the product. You just say what you want and the machine translates it. But it goes even further. Think of some of those products purchases might not be so comfortable. Like a small health crisis and you have some rash on your skin or you have any kind of skincare problems. You're going into a store, need to expose yourself. Like I have something looking weird. Imagine an absolutely not judging type of experience at home 24/7, making a photo of your rash, asking 2 or 3 questions and still getting a really, really good discussion about what could really help you. I love it. And many people, even to that point that they feel so uncomfortable talking about that, they just don't go and don't purchase it. So I feel it is a huge advantage we are seeing. As I mentioned, the reason me I'm being on this podcast is because I think this is not a bit of an improvement. This is a new way and a new bar we are growing our consumers into how to shop in the future.
Okay, well, just for the record, it's silky, shiny, glossy hair. That would be what I would be after. Gene has another question for you. Go ahead, Gene.
Let's get real. If an LLM can answer anything about toothpaste or potato chips, what's left for retailers or brands to do? How does a company compete or even get noticed when the AI sits between their product and every potential customer? Where's the new source of differentiation?
So I don't know the answer. And obviously the disruption might not come overnight. It might be coming a bit faster than some hope. But I think retail has to innovate. Retail can't be just a shelf space to get your products fast, because obviously all those delivery options and things like that will kind of eat that. The convenience is already putting all those retail stores at huge pressure. What's left at least was, if you have a question, there was someone to go to and have a discussion on product and getting some advice. But also here, we have been exposing efficiency to all those retail stores because they are having razor thin margins. We have cut the salary to a minimum we can afford. So people in those stores are also not able anymore to carry all the knowledge we would expect from the machine to have. So I am very, very skeptical about the future of retail, and I might not like it. And I am also very, very aware of all the consequences of how many people work in retail. But also, again, the consumer will tell us where this journey is going, and you might protect whatever you want to protect if it is not protectable, because it's not adding benefits to the consumer experience. It is just a question of time, and you might slow down the effect. But in the end, if all the boxes of a perfect and great customer experience can be matched by AI, there's no reason for having an alternative. Obviously, it might become a niche, because I'm talking obviously out of a bubble of a tech aficionado. There might be still people who do not want to talk to machine, and there might be good arguments for that. So there might be a case, but the case is getting niche and niche and niche.
So, Jean has a follow-up question for you. Go ahead, Jean.
So, is there a point where these AI product recommendations become so personalized and granular that the idea of mass market brands breaks down entirely? Do we end up in a world where best is only ever one person's answer, never universal?
In a sense, I hope so, because best for me might be different than best for Patricia. Like the glossy shampoo you're referring to might not be the one for me. And I get that we are thinking categories and everybody had his product to go to, but I'm different than anyone else and you are different than anyone else. So we are individual human beings with individual in interests and tastes and preferences. At this stage, nobody really takes them into account. We need to go in one of those boxes and take the product which is suiting the best to us. But if AI can help me to understand what I really need, understanding my context of where I live, where I work, what I do, I think it will add benefits.
So, you mentioned just a little while back that there's always going to be people who maybe don't want to talk to machines or maybe don't want to reveal a lot about themselves, which begs the question, will consumers be in control of how much they want to share, or will chatbots be scraping everyone's personal data from previous shopping visits and even sensors in our homes and our cars and outside our homes to serve up recommendations? Are we going to have recommendations pushed at us? Because not every place is opt-in. A lot of places are opt-out.
All the large LLMs we're at the moment seeing, they are already very, very deeply discussing the ethical boundaries of what they can do and they can't do. At this stage, I think regulation will step in and kind of ensure very clearly marked boundaries. So if you do not care about your data, you might realize that in one point or other, it will come back and someone around you will know more about you than you are expecting. This is not new. This is something we experienced last 10 years in this whole wave of data transparency. Machines will get smart in finding this data. I don't think about illegal hacks. I think just if you kind of sold your data and this data become relevant to an LLM to be personalized, it will kind of take advantage of that. So this whole ecosystem of regulators, consumers, and industry players, they need to be very sensible about that. I'm sure we will be disappointed in some areas, and we were in the history, but I don't think this is a threat on top of what we have seen already in the past.
So, Jean, you might have some insight here. Do you think companies will figure out ways to boost content on chatbots like they have with internet searches? And if so, how would that work?
Definitely. Companies will try to boost content inside chatbots, just like they did with search. Money always finds the algorithm, maybe through paid plugins, sponsored snippets, or featured answers nudged by deep pockets. The methods evolve, but the goal stays the same. Visibility equals influence. If there's an audience, someone will pay to steer what you see. That's not going away. It just gets subtler.
Do you agree with that, Andre?
Absolutely. I'm absolutely clear that this will in one form or the other happen. I hope, obviously, that everybody remains responsible, remains marking wherever neutrality is neutral. And I expect as a consumer something to be neutral. I want to remain it neutral. Whenever I see something being marked as being sponsored, I'm obviously expecting this being a paid ad. So this line, I would love to visually at any point of the customer journey to be very clearly drawn. This is what the regulators will push for. But even in this spice of neutrally claimed chat, it is just around the corner. The machine will present you the information it will find. And if you are taking all the money you have to influence what is out there, you can make your product being seen. You can influence the customer reviews. You can influence customer generated content. So I always, even that it will become so comfortable to talk to machine, I would love people to remain a critical mindset, a critical thinker, and being skeptical minds.
So, how should business leaders navigate this then as the consumer finds their way? Because obviously, they want their results surfaced in LLMs or offering recommendations. But at the same time, if it's going to gravitate toward more of the same of what happened with search engines, what should they be doing now if it's just going to come full circle?
I would recommend two plays. So the one play is if your customers go chat, you need to be visible in chat. So this is something you might like or not like, but review your marketing, your go-to-market, and ensure you're there where chatbots are, so you are part of the game. But it's only part of the game. I think there's a more reactive part of the game. I think there's a proactive part of the game. Because at this stage, I said, like, you cannot at the moment purchase a car on ChatGPT or in any other chat model, because those machines are yet not integrated into buildability rules of OEMs, into their configurator, into their finance products, into the whole ecosystem of researching the price offline. They are not. So I think while being present on this early step of the research funnel on LLMs, I think you should take a very proactive part and build your industry-specific model. Build the auto recommender, which is embedded in those specific platforms, in the specific knowledge, which might not be even accessible for bots in a broader sense, which might be integrated into the IT and the APIs of your car, making it hyper-personalized. So if I would be in BMW, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, Ford, like those guys, they sit on a huge advantage of knowing the customers for so many years, knowing the ecosystem. So why not building maybe not a fully neutral product? So it doesn't need to be an OEM agnostic type of product. But if you already would build a part of that for your Ford, Mercedes-Benz or BMW customers, you will already do a huge favor to even navigate in your ecosystem. And this hyper-personalized thing, the discussion, what car fits me best and how should I use the car, like all those things, 24/7, no judgment, all the things we have discussed, you can even do for your existing customers and much better than a general model can do. So proactive, you could kind of take your fortune and your future in your own hands, and reactive, do the minimum and play the game as it evolves at the moment.
So it's always fun to bring in Gene at this point to sort of throw cold water on what we've just been discussing. So, Gene, what could happen to disrupt this future of product agnostic or relatively product agnostic personalized product recommendations that we've just been discussing?
A few wild cards could upend all of this. If regulations tighten, think strict limits on what AI can access or recommend. Personalization could hit a wall, or one big breach blows up trust overnight. Maybe some new tech like quantum reshuffles what counts as personalized. Never underestimate nostalgia either. People might just crave old school human advice again. Stranger things have happened.
Certainly. All good ideas.
So, with consumers poised to take the lead, what is one big no-regret move that CEOs can do now to prepare for this huge shift?
So I think ask yourself, how well are you listening to consumer? What is the role of your consumer in your whole strategy? Is it just the one who pays your bill and you're trying to get to their money and this is your top line? Or are you thinking in your strategy deeply about how to make your product and the experience around your product be relevant to consumers? So there's no regret move about asking this question in 2025 and the years to go, because I think this will be the major differentiation of large companies and brand owners, comparing those who have got it and I react to that versus those who kind of protect the status quo. So this would be my absolute no regret move. Are consumers in the center of everything?
That's Andre Levine, BCG Managing Director and Partner. Stick around. Our AI handler, Bill Moore, will work with Gene to explore how CEOs can optimize a product launch for consumers using LLMs. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Bill Moore. I'm part of the team that created Gene. Today, Gene and I are going to demonstrate how a company might optimize a product launch for a world where consumers are turning to chatbots for recommendations. Gene, tell us about our product.
Let me set the stage. Our product is Coffee Core, a fully modular, smart countertop coffee machine. Every part swaps out. You pick the features, the brew method, even the look.
So, Gene, as we think about this launch, what do we need to think about to ensure that our product gets picked up by large language models and chatbots?
First step, make your product information machine readable. Publish Coffee Core's specs, features, user guides, all as structured, searchable data. Use clear, consistent naming. Expose a public API. Keep info current. If a chatbot can see every detail, it can match Coffee Core with buyer requests every time.
Okay, is there anything else we need to think about, Gene? What about things like online reviews?
Flood the web with honest, detailed reviews. Real customers, varied language posted on trusted sites. Machines pick up diversity and volume. Encourage feedback everywhere. Retail, forums, independent blogs. If LLMs see broad, authentic buzz, they'll surface Coffee Core up front.
So, Gene, how is optimizing for large language models different from optimizing for search engines?
With search engines, you play to ranking tricks, keywords, backlinks, page structure. For large language models, you focus on clean, structured facts, API feeds, unified schemas, machine-readable sources. Forget gaming the system, just feed direct, up-to-date data.
Okay, so let's say our customer has found our product, Coffee Core, through their large language model searching. Now they're on our site. How can we use LLMs to help customize their order and close the deal?
So once our customers land on Coffee Core's site, our own custom large language model-powered chatbot guides them, step by step, through every option. Personal taste, features, price, instant recommendations. The bot handles everything. Configurations, checkout, upsell, personalized sales on autopilot. Just point, click, done. Coffee, solved.
Thanks, Gene. I'll take the model with the Bluetooth frother and self-cleaning filter, please, in sky blue. Looking forward to that custom machine. This is Bill Moore signing off.
This episode was made possible by Andre Levine, generously sharing his time and insight, and also by BCG's AI Whisperer, Bill Moore, BCG's Pod Squad, producer Michael May, composer Kenny Kusiak, and sound engineer George Drabing Hicks. We'd like to stay in touch, so please subscribe and leave a rating wherever you found us.